In today's video, we are again going to be going over some crafting, mostly using omens for rings and other top-end gear that you would like to get with oddly specific bases. So stay tuned and maybe you'll learn something. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Mighty Moth here, back with another video. My mic is hanging on by a thread. I have it like kind of coerced to stay there. And we're going to dive into some crafting. So we're going to start with what not to do because I think this whole mechanic is trash. And then I'm going to show you what to do to kind of deterministically get what you want on rings especially. Then we're going to go over some armors, some helmets, and some weapons. And you can kind of use what I show you, take your favorite affix to start with, and then you can ascertain what direction to go based on this video to get to your end result. Let's start with the don'ts. So here you have the essence of the abyss. So what this does is it bears the mark of the Abyss Lord, but what the Abyssal Lord mark does is removes a modifier and guarantees a modifier of a higher tier, is what it says. So here we have a T1 Thorns, and we make this to where it will only remove a prefix and desecrate a prefix. What we forgot to do was add an exalt to the suffix. So what we did, we desecrated it, and then we were like, oh shit, let's make sure that we go and put a suffix on, because there are no desecrated prefixes for shields and body armors, I'm pretty sure. So what I was thinking would happen was it would guarantee a T1%, T1 max life, T1 flat armor, T1 block chance, something, right? So we go grab the omen, make sure we put on a suffix, and it did. So now this is a guaranteed prefix that is allegedly a higher tier. What happened? Well, we go to the Well of Souls, we throw it in, and we make sure to use a reroll, by the way. So we wasted quite a lot of currency on something that I really am just using as an example. But what the shit is this? Like tier 5 rolls? Tier 6 rolls? Let's reroll, see what we get. Oh, what do you know? There is a tier 1 block chance, or maybe it's tier 2. I'm pretty sure it's tier 1. But don't use these fucking things, guys. For the love of God, don't use them. Unless you're going to use them on a suffix to get a desecrated mod that's actually good. Because I thought this was a loophole, and it would guarantee you like a 1 in 6 chance of a tier 1 mod if you happen to get an item that has killer suffixes but has a dog shit prefix. But no, this shit don't work. So now we're going to go over crafting these rings. So what we did was we started with a ring that had a bullshit prefix, and we desecrated the prefix off and made it into a suffix. Started like that. Now we have an attack modifier and 2 elemental modifiers. So when we use this omen, it's got to hit a prefix. We're hitting a greater exalted, so that's 2. And it has to be either an attack modifier, an elemental modifier, or a % increased elemental modifier. We were lucky enough to hit T1 lightning and like a T4 cold. So we're going to be ballsy. We're going to buy another one. Kind of a bit of a waste, but we throw it on and we hit it with another greater exalted, and bada bing bada boom, we get accuracy, another attack mod. So why we use graders is because really it's either above 35 or above 50. 2.5 div, 3 exalts. The difference is not that much, you know. So on these, if you want a double rarity ring, you must find a ring with prefix rarity. If it has a suffix rarity, it will not work with the essence. So that's just a way, guarantee you double rarity. So again, we're going to do some rings, same way as everything else. We got a bunch of omens ready. Everything's good to go. The the problem is it can hit percents, it can hit all those type of things. So you have to kind of be careful. I You would prefer to use a perfect if you have like unlimited currency, but again, if you go to Craft of Exile 2, you can see that the attack modifiers are item level 75. Everything tier 1 is 75, and a tier 5 is 46, a tier 6 is 33. So you're guaranteed at least a tier 5 with a greater, and you're guaranteed at least a tier 4 with a perfect. So you have a chance of hitting tier 4s still with a perfect, or you have a chance of hitting tier 5s or higher with a greater. You're just spending 2.5 div less on a greater. But these are just more examples of the same type of ring crafting while I babble. And you can choose to desecrate this, or you can choose to just slap on another exalt, but you want to make sure that it's either stats or resistances on the bottom, because there are no stat prefixes, and all the elemental prefixes are damage. So that's what you want. There's no other way to put it. That is just the best possible way to do it. It's mandatory. So let's craft a crossbow. On this we have a tier 2% fizz damage. It's kind of a shitty base, but again, I'm just giving you examples here, right? I'm just setting currency on fire, but it's relatively cheap anyways. So we hit it with a greater essence of abrasion, get us our flat physical damage to go with this percent fizz, and then you can elect to do whatever it is you want to do. I chose to go with extra damage as lightning, so we get one of these omens that makes it to where our next perfect or corrupted essence is going to only remove suffixes. So we take this dog shit suffix off, bada bing bada boom, and we get extra damage as lightning. Now, what you could do from this point is desecrate it and then exalt. But if you make a mistake, see, like I used 2 greater exalts, and I was, oh, I should desecrate, but let's say we fucked up and we added another exalt. What can we do? Well, you can get yourself an omen to make it to where you only desecrate suffixes. I just remembered I had one. I couldn't remember where it was. And you would want a Manamananu essence, because that would get you the chance for your grenade to go off twice. And that's really what you would want at the end of the day. So you will only do a suffix, you have your jawbone, and we have the amanu, whatever. So we do it. Now, just to show you, again, relatively cheap, we want to put onslaught on this puppy, and we want to put attack skills. And if you're like me and you're semi-unlucky, you can repeat this process as many times as it takes in order to get the perfect base. You could even redesecrate it if you wanted to make sure you got it. Like here, we got onslaught, we go to add the attack skills, and we rip off the desecration. But you could redesecrate it if you happen to take off onslaught. You could re-onslaught if you happen to take off the attack skills. You could then re-essence a battle, and you could continue to do that for like, I think it's like 50 exalts a piece to do both essences combined. So it, again, in the grand scheme of things, really cheap crafting. It's like a few div max to make an end game weapon. Again, kind of a shitty base, but after it's socketed and qualityed, it ends up with 577 fizz and extra damage as lightning with 6 attack skills and onslaught. So at the end of the day, pretty good. And you could start with elemental damage and put on uh, an essence of haste to get attack speed or whatever you wanted to do. Really doesn't matter. So again, here we have an all attributes with fire resistance and an attack mod. And here we have a resistance with flat armor. So we're going to throw on another resistance. And we have prefix only. And there are no elemental prefixes, no resistance-esque prefixes on armors. So we're going to, the same thing, homogenizing with the Sinistral exaltation and a greater exaltation. We get a T1 split and a low tier percent. But we could have gotten something higher, but it's okay. Here we get the percent lightning damage and fizz damage. So it's just pretty much good. If you start with those bases with an attack modifier and resistances, or as I showed you previously, just resistances, you can still make something decent out of it. And then you can take these and you can desecrate them and hopefully get you something good. Now, here we got a third resistance above 30, smacking. Love it. Love to see it. And I believe on the ring, I didn't show it, but I believe we got percent mana on kill. Here you have a pretty GG Tiara, tier 1 energy shield, and 2 resistances. Same thing, homogenizing, and Sinistral, and greater. So it's going to guarantee us 2 energy shield modifiers. Now we hit a T2 split and a low percent again, but it's still unupgraded, almost 350 energy shield. And it cost us like 120 exalts to do. We desecrated it. We probably should have used a reroll, but we got Dex and Int, 10 to each. At the end of the day, pretty good. Pretty solid tiara there. I'm sure it will sell. We haven't posted it yet, but it'll sell. Again, same thing. We got T1. We got, I think that was a T1 fire, T1 lightning, or T2 fire or something. But this is an example of how you can kind of get unlucky. So, boom, we slam it, and we get fucking chaos damage, bro. Of all things, chaos damage for the L. No big deal, though. We have another one. We got Int. And what do you know? We hit T1, T2, T4. Solid ring. All around. This is just hands down the best way to do your crafting. And then you can, again, throw some desecration on it. It's going to guarantee go onto your suffix because it's the only thing left, so it doesn't remove anything. Take your ass to the well. And I know I could cut all this out and make the video shorter, but I just wanted to show you in real time how quick it is and how easy it is to just do this shit. Cooldown recovery on a ring with some damage. Yes, please. We could have taken the lightning res, but the ring already has lightning res on it, and I think a little cooldown recovery should actually help the ring sell. The chaos damage kind of ruins it, a little lackluster, anticlimactic, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? And then boom, we throw this bad boy on, we get mana on kill. That's huge. Percent mana on kill with 3 damage modifiers, T1, T2, and I think that was like T4 or something like that. Beautiful. Like, you could not ask for a better outcome for 110 exalts. Now, again, start with a decent base. We have high fizz, 1 shitty suffix modifier. greater essence of abrasion, bada bing, bada boom, greater perfect essence of electricity or whatever you want with the will only affect suffixes. That will then take off the shitty suffix that you have. At this point, you exalt, 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 or exalt, exalt, desecrate, whichever one you prefer. And then you can decide from there which essences you would like to take. Again, for me, I elected to go with a perfect essence of haste and a perfect essence of battle. Boom, we hit. And the perfect essence of haste was like 16 exalt. And then a perfect essence of battle is somewhere between like 30 and 50 exalts depending on the day. At this point, it was 37. And then, boom, we slam this bitch in there. Bye-bye. Stun build up. We Gucci. And potentially, the best part about this was going to be for my Blood Mage. And we get Warcry cooldown. And we were going to use Warcries on it. So, it's pretty good all in all. Really happy with it. Would have rather have had elemental damage to attacks and percent fizz maybe, but it is what it is. Okay, so there you have it. That's pretty much it for the omen crafting, but let's say you were starting with a white base. You want to use an augmentation and a transmutation or whatever, and you think, well, I should always use a perfect because that's the best thing, right? Go to craftofexile2.com. Make sure you're looking at the modifier levels. For example, tiaras, energy shield, flat energy shield is modifier level 60. So you cannot get that with a perfect because it guarantees modifier levels of 70 or higher. Now there is an enhancement essence that gives you percent guaranteed. So you should try a greater trans and augmentation. That way you can hit the flat to then essence on the percent, and then you can do what you want with the rest of it, but at least you have a pretty decent baseline of energy shield to go from there. The flat, in my opinion, is the most important, so that's what I would do. If you're looking for melee skills on gloves, you would be surprised to know that melee skills can only roll modifier 41 or higher. So if you use a perfect exalt, you'll never see melee skills. If you use a perfect augmentation or a perfect transmutation or a perfect regal or any of those, you'll never see melee skills on your gloves. Stop trying. You have to use something lower in order to roll that. So you're going to get some shitty rolls, but if you start with white ones and you use, graders or greater exalts or whatever at level 35 or higher, you have a better chance of hitting melee skills. So these are the things I would invite you to do. You have a mace, you want elemental damage tier 1, item level 81, boom, hit it with a perfect, you might hit it. Because you can't hit T1 Fizz, so that kind of eliminates that from the roll. And there are levels to this. So for example, on a mace, if you were trying to hit T1 Fizz, or my fault, T1 elemental damage, T2 is 60. So it goes from 60 to 81. So you'll only be able to hit a T1 there. That's the only thing you can hit in that category. So it's stuff like that you have to look at because it's a huge jump. Or adds fire damage. It goes from 75 to 81. So it eliminates some of the risk. So just make sure you look at craftofexile2.com And make sure you look for more videos. That's all I got. You already know what it is. You are enough. Stay blessed. And as always, stay mouthy. Make sure you leave a comment, a like, and you better subscribe.